All right, so this is just kind of a quick help version of doing the pixel scatter thing. And you're going to select your subject, however you want to do that, and then, um, so put that out to its own layer, and then make a copy of that layer. We're going to do something fancy to it in a minute. For the copied layer, make it a smart object. Then add a color fill layer on the bottom, whatever color looks good with your picture. If yours is dark outside, then a dark background. If it's like outside during the day, blue sky kind of thing is fine. Do a color fill layer and then right click it and make it a smart object. I've already done that on this one, so you can tell my color fill's already a smart object. So we're going to add two things to these. So on the color fill, you're going to add a filter for lens correction, which is going to allow us to add a vignette effect. So if I go to lens correction and choose custom, then over here where it says vignette, I'm going to change the settings on amount. If you go backwards, it'll give you dark edges. See that? Just very subtle dark edges. If you go the other way, it'll give you light edges. So it kind of depends on what your background looks like as to what looks best. And then you can also adjust this midpoint thing so you decide how far in it goes. We just want it to have a little bit of that, burnt edge, I guess you would say, if you have a dark one like mine or whatever. All right, when you hit OK, it's going to do that, and then just gives us a little bit of depth to the image. Okay, so we have the lens correction smart filter on the color fill layer. And then over here on the other layer, we're going to add a motion blur filter. So you'll go to filter and blur and motion blur. And we're just going to give it a just super blurry. You can't see it. Let me hit cancel so you can see it. Let's turn this off. Okay, filter, blur, motion blur. There, like that. And we want it to be like pretty, yeah, like that. Like, what in the world's going on? That kind of thing. Okay. And your distance will be different. It depends on how big your first picture is. All right, so I've got that going on. And then you can decide how we're going to move this, like forward or backward. It depends on which way you want the pixels to like spread out. This actually probably look cooler behind it, but I have a bunch of room in front, so I'm going to put it in front. So I'm going to lock this one for just a minute and then move this one in the front. Okay, so we've got that there, and then we're going to add a layer mask, and we're going to fill it with black or press Control I so we can't see it. So the blurry version we can't see, right? And then this top version, we're going to mess with the mask. And this one, we're going to mess with the mask. And that's all we're going to do really to do the pixel effect, except we're going to add a drop shadow on this layer here. And you'll see here in a minute why. Okay, so you're going to have to load a brush. We're going to use a paintbrush. And Photoshop in the new version doesn't come with any square brushes, or you could try to do some sort of square thing. So I provided you one on the canvas page. So click on import brushes and go grab it. And I'm going to use another one that I popped into my folder here already today. But the one is there, or there might be some others. So 20 dispersion brushes. It's going to give me a folder at the bottom, and then here it is down here. All right, and these are real big. So if your picture's not real big, you might not see these. Like it's 2500 pixel brush, so you may have to make your brush a lot smaller to see it if your picture is, really not as big as mine. Okay, I kind of like the way these look. Now I'm going to rotate my brush around, okay? And you're going to go to Window and Brushes, or the brush settings, honestly. Pull that up, and it's got this compass thing, and that's going to rotate the brush around. This is nothing new. We've done this stuff before, but I'm going to rotate it around. Oh, goodness. There, kind of like that, right? I would make it even bigger, so I'm going to make it like super big. Like, bam, okay? Now I've got the blurry version of me over here, so let's just turn this one off for a minute. What we're going to do is we're just going to add those pieces in here. So we're just going to come here, and remember, it's behind the other layer, so if it's in front, you're not going to see them, if it's like on top of the picture. But I'm just going to click one time. There. And so that puts those in there. And so now we kind of have that broken effect. And then I can make my brush a little smaller if I wanted to, or I could go choose a different dispersion brush, or I could rotate it around some more so that it's not exactly the same as the one before. Brushes, brush setting. I don't know where my thing just went. There, brush tip shape. All right, so let's rotate it around a bit, and then I'm gonna stamp it on here again. And remember, I can always take a black paintbrush and get rid of stuff if I want to, okay? All right, and my picture isn't, it's blurred, but it doesn't go out that far over there. Now you could, of course, press, like Control T, and it's going to turn the blur off for a minute while you do it, but you could stretch this out, and that would even be cool. So feel free to do that. This is all abstract because it's just like pieces. Okay, now you turn the other one on, we've got them in there, and if you want them to look like they exploded a little bit, then you're going to click on their layer mask, and we're just going to take a black paintbrush to hide a little bit of this picture. So I'm going to take my black paintbrush. I've got mine really big again, so I might want to scale it down some. And I've got it locked, so let me unlock it. And then I just want to catch this edge. Let's rotate this around again. Window, brushes, brush settings, brush tip shape. I want it to go up and down. There we go, like that. Okay. And so now you can turn this one off too, so you're not distracted by it. Black to hide on part of my girl, right? Bam. Okay, don't really like that. It's all over her face. I'm going to undo. And maybe we'll rotate the brush around a little bit more. But you kind of get the gist of it. You sort of have to play with it a little bit to get it like you want it to be. Flip it the other direction. All right, there. I don't want it to go on her face. I'm trying to avoid faces. All right, there we go. And so now it's like those pieces broke out of there and they're going over there. And you could, repeat this process using smaller pieces. I just think it looks better with bigger pieces, to be honest. But, as long as you stay off the faces, you can always just sort of do whatever you want. There you go. And if you decide you need more down here, same story, just add it in there or choose a different brush if you want it to have a little bit of a different look. And remember, you're only dealing with one layer at a time. So wherever you add it, I got to make it white to show, it's only going to show on that one layer. There you go. And at any point in time, if you feel like you went a little too far, just go back here and take your standard little run-of-the-mill brush back up at your top brushes. I never get up there. Your general brushes, and just take it back to a normal soft brush, and you can, paint it back in. So if I don't want, her face here, I'll just take me a soft brush and paint back in there so we don't lose her face. And there you go. And this effect looks really cool on like action shots. If you play sport, it's going to be cool. I don't know how cool this one is because it's really not. It's just people. But anyway, that's basically the process. It does look a little cooler if you take the dispersion pieces and add a drop shadow to those. So I'm going to click back on the copy of the girls, which is going to be the pieces, and just add a little drop shadow, just a basic little drop shadow. See, that looks kind of neat. And I'm going to reset it because I'm in Photoshop, so it'll be a little bit more normal, and I can start from there. And then you can just kind of mess with it a little bit and see what you like. Just kind of looks a little cooler. There we go. And of course, you can turn up your opacity if you want to see it more. Yeah, that's more fun. There we go. All right, and so that's kind of a pixel scatter effect. And again, we're using those smart objects. We're using some smart filters. A little bit of layer style, a little lens correction to that vignette effect. So lots of stuff that goes along with this unit.